We have another Power Pack Day. Really great customers. How about those sessions? Who made spring rolls with John Lee? Oh my goodness. Noah Finberg may be one of the smartest people at Domo, but he cannot roll a spring roll, ladies and gentlemen. It's official, he can't do it. So we're super excited to have you back. I hear there's some fresh powder. Anybody going tomorrow to Snow Basin? And I hear we have a performer that's pretty stellar. Who knows Jake by chance? Anybody heard of him? It's gonna be a good day, So right now, I am super, super excited because yesterday I talked a lot about disruption and the need to disrupt and what AI is doing for disruption in the world today. The next person we're gonna talk to, Lindsay Holden, started a company right at the onset of COVID. And they've done pretty amazing things. When we met with her about 2 years ago, they were in 1,800 targets. That number has increased, and they've now gone into multiple other locations and stores since then. 3x the store locations in total from what we did 2 years ago. They are just absolutely killing it. So I'm excited to welcome to the stage the co-founder of Odele. Give it up for Lindsay Holden. Okay, Lindsay, are you scared?
I can't see much, so
There's no one out there, so you're lucky.
No one, yeah.
Things are good. So Lindsay, let me tell everyone just a little bit about Lindsay. She spent quite a bit of time as a buyer at Target, and before we even get into any of the rest of this stuff, how important are buyers in the retail business?
Incredibly important. I mean, they decide what makes it to shelf, how much space you have, where you're located. They really set the strategy for their own business, and they can make or break a brand.
So it's interesting that Lindsay spent quite a bit of time as a buyer and then decided to go and start her own brand. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about Odele. The name is really interesting, especially. Tell us where that came from.
Sure. So Odele, I guess I'll back up and say we had to first sell ourselves on why the world needs another shampoo. There seems to be a ton of options out there, but yet as a buyer, I was formally conditioned to see what are the opportunities, like where is that space that you can continue to grow a category. So Odele it was born out of seeing that opportunity and thinking, okay, there's a lot of clean brands, but they're really expensive. There's a lot of salon brands, but they're dirty. And then the truly kind of clean, more accessible price point brands just didn't meet our high performance expectations. And at the same time, I'm a mom of 3. I look at my shower. I had the nice kind for myself, the whatever kind for my husband, and like the clean kind for the kids. And inevitably, you turn around, your kids are like making bubbles with your $45 shampoo. So Odele really marries all of those priorities: clean, which we believe should be table stakes, accessible price point at a very high performance. And at the same time, we've removed those barriers that may have kept somebody from sharing in the past. So derm tested, gender neutral fragrance, and really developed by hair type and texture. And so at our start, it was all about sharing and enabling someone to share your shampoo in that shared space, which is the shower. And so our name comes from a riff off of a Norwegian phrase, Odele, which means to share.
That's amazing. How many of you have seen Odele in a Target or anywhere like that? I walked in the other day into one and I kind of fanboyed for a little bit because I've spent some time with the Odele team and I saw him right there and it was like, oh, there's my brand. I didn't use it, if you're wondering, so stop. It wasn't why are you laughing?
We have a hair oil now that works wonders on beards, just so you know.
I can grow a beard with the best of them, so
Yeah.
Stop laughing, Domopalooza. Okay, next on the list, I want to dig into, talk to us, we talked earlier about, you were about 1,800 stores 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And even before that, starting a business before COVID, great choice, right?
we didn't know it was coming. But we launched in January 2020, and you usually take a little while to get on shelf and then to, have people discover you. And so we're watching these numbers, and we got wind something happening in China because we sourced a component for one of our packages from there. So luckily, my partner really leaned in and was like, okay, I'll take a full year's supply of that now. So she was really on top of it. But yeah, we had to play with the numbers and say, okay, what happens if everything goes to zero? Can we survive? And luckily, Target was one of the first retailers to reopen up and have come up with flexible ways to fulfill. But we really, were empowered because of Domo and the app to give the good advice to our retail partner, Target at the time, and say, here we don't have unlimited inventory to allocate, but here's where we think it should go as a result of, store performances to date.
Walk us through, Lindsay. Early days, you and Ben Shine, who were both former Target friends, sit down and you start playing in Excel, I think, right?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about that and how that turned into Domo.
Yeah. Well, we, both my partner and I have two partners, and two of us had worked at Target formerly. And you are just aware of how rich the data can be. But being on the other side, we didn't have the tools. We had Excel. And so there were a lot of pivot tables and slicing and dicing and cleaning up. And, there are just so many ways we wanted to look at it to help inform how we were doing and get true visibility into that. And then what we wanted to suggest doing moving forward in terms of, our growth. We really want to be that strategic partner to our retail partners and grow together and not be, just really take into account what their strategies are and how ours might ladder up to that. And so it's hard to do that with a very large Excel spreadsheet.
So you switched to Domo, and walk us through what that looks like. How are you using Domo today?
Domo has been awesome for just giving us, when we have those curiosities and those questions. So we use it, weekly basis to look at the health of our business in Target, on Shopify, at our other partners who we're just now getting set up. But it was really integral in helping us before line review, for example, where we took a look at the category. The buyers, their priority at the time was to reduce SKUs. They called it simplify to amplify, and really stand for fewer but better and deeper. And at the time, we still are a relatively small brand relative to who else is on the shelf. If you think about those big strategics and the hundreds of SKUs that they represent. And so Domo really helped us take a look at our assortment and fiercely protect it. We didn't have just that one SKU that's carrying the weight of the brand. We could show that, hey, across all these SKUs, there's a shared productivity, and each one of them has a unique, they play a unique role, and they're discernibly different. And we don't think you should cut here. You should look over here, where maybe 20% of the SKUs are productive, where out of a much bigger number. So that was one way that it really helped us out. And then the other way is we took a look at, we were able to easily see by volume grouping. So not all stores are created equal. And so instead of just saying, nope, we hear your strategy, but we're going to tell you to do something different, we were to say, okay, if you have to cut, here's where I would look. And look at these low volume doors, and here's the assortment we recommend, and it's a reduction. And hey, look at these high volume doors. There's fewer, but they carry so much more weight. And here's where we think you should double face. Here, in fact, is where we think you should grow the assortment. And they took our advice.
So, Lindsay, there's been some interesting things that have happened in Target recently with really cool end cap opportunities. How much of that goes into, we looked at the data, we strategized using Domo, and then we went and made a recommendation, and we landed something cool?
Yeah, it was just that. We asked for example that's called a beacon. So in about 200 or 300 doors, there's where we're normally found in line, they moved us to the front of this beacon, which is on aisle and just helps so much with discovery. And I think it was really because we were able to show them the numbers and the productivity, and that we in fact warranted this space. And on top of it, our brand really resonated in terms of accessibility, inclusivity, and high performance. And so it wasn't just like this feeling recommendation. It was based in fact, and the performance has been awesome.
That's amazing. So within 6 months of launching, you were profitable. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of companies that can say that. How did you use data to get to that point so quickly?
It was a lot of just how we approached the business to prove it as sustainable to ourselves out of the gates. And so we were kind of old school about it. We needed the brick and mortar to rely on for discovery, and we focused a lot on earned media and like the traffic. We could try to drive, word of mouth, I always say, is my favorite kind of recommendation. But we didn't, a lot of D2C brands start out and it's like online only is a much different pressure, and you have to spend a lot in order to like break through that clutter. So I think, we're using Domo to try to figure out what is the right recipe and how do we now, like what truly helps us drive impact at that store level, because sometimes you lose visibility when your focus is driving it to stores as opposed to our own site. But yeah, it was just the choices in components we chose and understanding our mix, through the platform to get to a place where we were self-sustainable.
Talk me through. I remember we did a fun video with Odele a couple of years ago, and I remember Britta talking about the number one thing that Domo has done for you is given you peace of mind.
Yeah.
Talk me through that.
I mean, it's like a mini. It is peace of mind. It's like this therapist, right? Where you can like spin off and be like,
Domo is a therapist.
And worry. You just can, you get worried, like you don't know, or I have a suspicion, and like maybe even Britta and I disagree, right, on something. But it's such an easy tool to then go validate or disprove that suspicion. And so I think like it's empowering to understand truly like what is the effect of this promotion that we just funded at a retail partner. Like, did that pay off? They're expensive to participate in, and it's helped us like agree or disagree. When do we participate? When do we not participate in additional investment in retail media to say, hey, look, we tried this. It didn't work. And so I think that's the peace of mind, because we're always being asked for a lot too. And it's very empowering to be able to say, well, guys, I hear you, but what else can we do? Or if we do this again, we would love it to come with an end cap opportunity, because that's where we really see the return on our investment.
I love it. So we talked a lot yesterday about how Domo is data plus anything that our customers need. It could be data plus visualizations, could be data plus AI, could be data plus automation. How are you thinking about using data plus, maybe the new App Studio stuff that you just launched with Ben, to be able to make decisions for your business?
Yeah, Ben, I forgot my phone in the back. Pull it out, but it's awesome. The app is great. It's the first time we've been able to see all of our retailers' sales on top of each other, and we get different information from each partner at different times. So it's definitely a cadence to try to figure out like what, like the view, but it's at your fingertips now to be able to see in real time these weekly sales, the year-to-date sum, the breakout between direct-to-consumer, mass, drug, specialty. So yeah, we're very visual people, and right now we're getting ready for line reviews, and that is the tool that we use in order to build our presentations and share back insights beyond what we know they are looking at. Your retail partners, they manage an entire category, and we have the privilege of just getting to be laser focused on ours. So using those to really pull together our recommendations and empower us in our conversations.
I love it. Last question as we close up. You have scaled a business incredibly well in a very tough environment, and you've used data to do a lot of that. What's your recommendation for anyone, no matter the size? You've got everywhere from small to medium to massive enterprises out there. What's your secret? How do you scale like this?
Oof. I think it's staying curious is the number one thing. Asking a lot of questions, making smart recommendations, learning from your mistakes and pivoting, and telling your story. I think, us, it's a different, depending on who we're talking to, that story may be a little bit different, in terms of like how we may fit into what what strategic role we play. But I think it's the numbers and the behavior and understanding what's happening on the ground that really helps with those conversations.
Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for Lindsay Holden.